Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. First of all, inshallah, before we start, we request all the brothers and the sisters as well to come closer to the Shaykh, and as it's a sunnah of the companion of Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whenever they come and listen to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they come closer. Alhamdulillah, just a brief introduction about the Shaykh, Ahmad, Shaykh Ihsaan. MashaAllah, he is running one of the biggest centers in Australia. It's called ICDA or IDCA, Islamic Da'wah Center of Australia. Alhamdulillah, after the lecture, inshallah, I will allow the Shaykh to talk about the few of his activities and his da'wah with Muslims and non-Muslims, inshallah, at Australia. So without taking any time of the Shaykh, inshallah, we will go on with the Shaykh.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. Inshallah, because we already have approximately 1 hour, I'll get straight into it, inshallah. The topic of today's short talk, inshallah, is about tears of a believer. And subhanAllah, if we think about it, living in this time, this era, we find that many of the Muslims, or many of humanity, and we can talk about tears in general, many humans now do not shed tears. You might ask why? My personal opinion is the media. We become desensitized. I'm not sure about the TV here in Kuwait, but talking about the West, we become very, very desensitized to watching people get killed. We see people getting killed day and night. It affects us within a minute, but after, for instance, the news finishes, the akhbar finishes, we watch a movie, we watch a TV show, and we forget. So our emotions is like on a roller coaster. 1 second we're up here, feeling, next second we're down here, forgetting. So the media is playing with us. You could talk about Hollywood and Bollywood, mashallah, there's a lot of the Indian brothers are here as well, mashallah. It's taken us on a joyride. And subhanAllah, this is one of the tools of the shaitan, subhanAllah. Many of us are forgetting when we shed tears for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is so important for our iman. Now if we just take one hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, I can see what you cannot see, and I can hear what you cannot hear. He said, indeed, the sky, it moans, it makes this sound, moaning, and it has the right to do so. Many of us may think now, what's this Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam talking about? He said, indeed in the sky, there's not a space of 4 fingers. 4 fingers, but there's an angel prostrating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you're thinking here now, we just all look around in the masjid now, you have to think of every 4 finger space, there's an angel making sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam openly said, but Allah, if you knew what I knew, if you knew what I knew, you would cry a lot, or you'd laugh little, and you'd weep a lot. And he didn't stop there. He said you would not even enjoy your wives in bed, but you would run to the hills and you would pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So with this hadith we find this message of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is so important for us. Life has a meaning. Life, the dunya, us being here, there's a meaning. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Subhanallah. Very, very, very easy. Allah created us, not just us, but the jinn as well, only to worship Him. It's as easy as that. A, B, C. Simple. But as I said, the shaitan has had many, many years of training. He deceived our father, Adam alayhi salam. He got him kicked out of Jannah. So just think about ourselves. We're trying to come into this world worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we see so much in front of us. We see cars, we see the internet, we see mobile phones. Every time there's a new phone, mashallah, I want a new phone. There's an iPhone, then there's going to be a Y-phone in the future. So many things are coming to disrupt our minds, to disrupt us from the true path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, subhanallah. So our tears are very, very important for our iman, subhanallah. Now, If I could just give you an example of the dunya, subhanAllah, and Shaikh many years ago he explained this to us. And subhanAllah, as we say in Australia, it hits the nail on the head. He gave the example of this dunya like a man walking in the street. Now this man came across a huge palace, a palace that he's never ever seen before. This palace had 2 guards waiting outside. And they greeted this man and they said, listen, we see in your face and we think that you'd like to come in and see all the treasures inside. And the man said, yes, I would love this. And they said, listen, we're going to give you an opportunity of a lifetime. You're never going to come across this again. They said to him that we're going to allow you to get the biggest cart. The biggest cart. You can come in and you have 2.5 minutes to choose all the treasures that you want. Now just imagine, I said to you, listen, outside there's $3, $4, $5, $6 million. And you have 2.5 minutes to take as much money as you want. Just imagine this. So this person had this opportunity, so he quickly went and found the biggest cart that he could find. He came in and the guard said to him, listen, remember you only have 2.5 minutes, no longer. But there's another condition. See the pictures on the wall? These pictures you're not allowed to look at and you cannot touch. They're the rules. Take whatever you want from the diamonds, from the gold, from the silver, everything here you can take, no problem. But up there, don't look and don't touch. Khalas. Easy. He said, okay, no problem. The man said to him, or the guard said to him, your time starts now. Remember, 2.5 minutes. Khalas. The guard left. Who came to him automatically? Who? Shaikh. He said to him, listen, there must be something very special in those pictures. Why did the man tell you not to touch this? Why did the man say not to look at it? But remember all the treasure that you can take for free, no problem. He said, you know what, I'm going to have a look. So his vision went up and he looked at the picture. He said, huh? He saw a picture of a huge villa on the beach. Beautiful mansion. He said, this is what I want. But remember the gold, the diamonds, everything in front of him. He said, no, this is what I want. He's not allowed to touch it, he's not allowed to take it. This is what I want. Then he looked down and he said, oh, a sports car, red, convertible. This will go perfect with the house, with the mansion. Then he looked down a little bit more. What did he say? What does man love? He saw a beautiful woman. He goes, mashallah. Woman, the car, the house, this is life, this is what I want. This is something that my heart really wants, this is what I'm looking for. All of a sudden this man, he felt a tap on the shoulder. Excuse me sir, your 2.5 minutes have finished. He said, what do you mean? I haven't even started taking anything. He said, sorry sir, we warned you. We told you that you have 2.5 minutes. Only. Your time is up, my friend. Please. Sorry sir, your time is up. This man walked out of this mansion with nothing. Now if we look at the dunya and look at the beauty that it has, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the treasure of what? Of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you to pray as much as you want. True? He's told you to give in charity as much as you want. To do as many good deeds as you want. But the shaitan comes and whispers to you and says, hey, look, but we know we can't touch certain things. We're not allowed to do certain things, the muharramat, the things that are haram for us. We're not allowed to touch these things, and this is what is deluding us from the right path, subhanAllah. First you have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're living in an Islamic country, subhanAllah. Many of the things are the temptations you don't have. Growing up in Sydney, Australia, believe me, I've seen so many things. We're finding that the Muslims are leaving Islam, subhanAllah. They call themselves Muhammad, but they don't know anything about Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we have some of our Shaikh that are here who joined us. We just had a huge conference called Who is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And believe it or not, the majority of people were Muslims there. And even if we come to the Islamic lands and we say to you, who is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, many of us don't even know. Many of us don't know who Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is. And even worse, many of us don't even know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Believe it or not, we had a bookshop many years ago. And a sister walked in and she said, listen, I need a book about Isa alayhi salam. I looked at her and I said, who is it for? She said, it's for a non-Muslim person. I said, sister, if you don't mind, can I ask a question? She said, yes. I said, sister, do you know anything about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? She said, yeah. I said, who is Allah? She said, He's my creator. And I said, what else? And she stopped there. She stopped there. She couldn't say anymore because she didn't know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. So now I ask you honestly by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how are we supposed to cry for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if we don't know who Allah is? How? If we don't know who our Creator is, how can we cry for His sake subhanallah? One of the things about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He is al-Ghafur al-Rahim. He's the most gracious, the most merciful. True or not? We know this, but do we believe it? Do you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves His slave when he comes back and he turns to Him, when he cries and begs for His forgiveness? Allah loves this. Not because He wants to see us cry and weep, but He knows that we're in need of Him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the ability to forgive us, subhanAllah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِنِّي لَغَفَّارٌ. Verily I'm the most gracious and most merciful. He's the one that forgives, but to whom? To whom? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِمَنْ تَابَ وَآمَنَ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا ثُمَّ اهْتَدَى. Subhanallah. He's the most forgiving for the person who repents. Ya akhi, do you know anyone, or ya ukhti, do you know anyone who doesn't commit sin? Each and every one of us commit sin. Whether with our eyes, our tongues, our ears, with our actions. We all commit sins. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most forgiving for the one who repents. The one who turns back. The one who believes, who does good deeds and stays upon the right path. This is the one that subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's going to forgive subhanahu. So when you slip, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and turn to Him. But it's not enough to say, I committed a sin, Allah's forgiving. Allah's forgiving. No, this is where we need the tears. This is where we need to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and show truly that we are people who want to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not just with words, but with actions and deeds, subhanAllah. So in the last third of the night, you getting out of your bed, just imagine. You turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and begging Him and crying to Him and saying, Ya Allah, please forgive me. Because I am a sinner and I have made a mistake. And I know You, Allah, are the one who forgives and You have the capability to forgive me. These are the things that we're missing. You know the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was in one of the battles. And the companions were very tired, but the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he fought beside them. And he was just as tired. He'd be standing up saying, Ummati, Ummati. My nation, crying for you and I. He was crying for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? He knew that he was going to enter Jannah because he was promised this, correct? Just imagine, but he stood up and he used to stand up at night praying for so long. So Aisha radiallahu anha, his wife, she used to say to him, Ya Rasulullah, why do you do this to yourself? You know that your past sins and your future sins are forgiven. You basically, you're a man of Jannah. Why do you stand up and torture yourself until your feet become swollen? What did he say, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Correct, Ya Aisha, I'm going to sit down now. I'll go to sleep. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, shouldn't I be a thankful slave? Shouldn't I be a thankful slave, subhanAllah? Now think about all the blessings that we have. Huh? All the blessings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us cars. And inside these cars He's given us air conditions. Here in Kuwait, you don't walk unless there's an air condition. True? You mean, pretty soon maybe in the street we're going to see air conditioned rooms all the way through. SubhanAllah. They're so hot. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed this upon you. But are you thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Are you truly thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this, subhanAllah? Inshallah, today I want to share two stories with you. Inshallah, hoping that it's going to open up your heart to Tawbah. The first is of a man. His name was Dinar. And this man lived a life of sin. He used to do many sins, can commit many sins, subhanAllah. His mother used to always tell him to repent back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He blessed him with a mother that used to remind him. And many of us, unfortunately, we have these reminders, but we don't take heed. We don't wake up to ourselves and come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Mahum, one day he was walking past the graveyard, and on the floor he found a bone, and he picked up this bone. Within his own hand, this bone crushed and became dust. He crushed his bone, subhanAllah. The sight of this bone becoming dust woke him up. He remembered all the sins that he committed in the past, and he said to himself, woe to you, O Dinar, you are going to be like this bone and turn into dust. He said to himself then and there, I'm going to repent back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's going to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from this one sign, subhanAllah. So he went home. And he said to his mother, oh mother, what does this master do to a runaway slave? Now imagine you had a servant or a slave and it ran away. What does the master do to this slave? The mother said, basically, the master would chain this slave up. He would get shackles, put it around the hands and feet so he can't run away anymore. You would put coarse clothing, harsh clothing upon this slave and feed him from food that's not very good. Coarse barley and whatever it was back in those days. He looked at his mother and said, oh mother, do to me what a master would do to a runaway slave. She looked and she was astonished. Why? He said, maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see me in this state and have mercy on me. Please, oh mother. She looked and she said, what else can I do? So she shackled her son, she dressed him in harsh clothing, and she started to feed him of food that was not very nice. Dinar every single night started to weep and cry and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. He started to cry every night. He used to stand up reading the Quran and begging Allah so that he could forgive him. It came to a time where Dinar's body he became very weak and very thin and very pale. His mother came to him and said, why are you doing this to yourself? You don't have to do this. He said, oh my mother, I'm not looking for this dunya. I'm not looking for rest in this dunya. I just want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me. He said, oh my mother, it is as if I see you and other people going into Jannah and me, Dinar. It's as if I'm going into the hellfire with its inhabitants, its people. He couldn't see further than himself going into the hellfire. He couldn't see further than himself being punished eternally in the hellfire. And he wanted the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many of us are thinking, you know what, maybe this man Dinar is treating himself too harsh. But just think about it. You know Umar ibn al-Khattab, he was one of the harshest men, one of the toughest companions. At the time of his death, just think about it. Umar radiallahu anhu is about to pass away. He's falling in and out of consciousness. Abdullah, his son, was next to him. And Abdullah put Umar's face on his thigh. And he would say to his son, Ya Abdullah, put my face on the dirt. He didn't listen to him. He said, Ya Abdullah, put my face on the dirt. He wouldn't listen. And a third time he said, when you have no mother, place my face on the dirt. So Abdullah, he put his father's his face on the dirt. And he started to weep and weep. And now we're talking about Umar radiallahu anhu, the man who done so much. The one who came with so much power into Islam. The one who fought with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The one who was the Khalifa after whom? After Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. He started to weep. And he said, woe to Umar and woe to the mother of Umar if Allah does not forgive me. Do you understand? We are talking about a powerful Muslim. A man who had so much Iman was crying like a baby at the time of his death. He could have sat back and said, you know what? I opened up so many lands. We won so many battles. We've done so much. Pride. But actually, what happened to him? The opposite. He cried and was hoping for the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something that we have to understand. This day and age has been built in us pride. Yes, when we watch these movies, especially these American movies, no, we're not talking against America or whatnot. But they inbuilt in the pit, working for our nation. No, us as Muslims, we work for whom? For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do everything for whom? For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for His sake. And this is how the Muslim has to be. Anyway, back to the story of Dinar. he became very fragile and pale. And he said to his mother what he said about him going into the hellfire. She left him because what else could she do? She said that one day, he became so enticed in his weeping that he became unconscious. She ran to him and she thought that he passed away. He wasn't making a noise. She tried to wake him up, but he wouldn't wake up. She looked at him and said, "Oh, beloved of my life, oh my dear boy, where am I going to see you next? Where?" But he had a bit of life in him, subhanAllah. He looked and he told her, "Oh my dear mother, if you don't see me on the plains on the day of resurrection, on the day of judgment, if you don't find me," he said to her, "Go ask Malik." And who is Malik? The gatekeeper of the hellfire, the guardian of the hellfire. "Oh my mother, if you don't find me on the day of judgment, go and ask Malik about me, because I'm going to end up in the hellfire." And he passed away. At that moment, he passed away and died, subhanAllah. His mother, being the pious woman she was, she didn't sit there and cry. She went and washed him and shrouded him. And she called out to the people. And she wanted to remind the people. She said, "Oh people, come and pray upon the person who died from the fear of the hellfire. Oh people, come and pray upon the person who died from the fear of the hellfire," subhanAllah. He died from the fear of the hellfire, subhanAllah. Now how many times do we hear about the hellfire? It goes in this ear, out the other ear. We don't even shed a tear, subhanAllah. This person died and passed away because he feared this hellfire, this creation which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created to punish. And you don't think that the hellfire is something so easy. You know, we have air conditions here. You can have time up. Well, it's a little bit hot here in the hellfire. Let's turn on the air condition. I need some cold water or a drink. La wallahi. La wallahi. In Jahannam, it's punishment, over punishment, over punishment. It just gets worse and worse until the people of the hellfire begged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they didn't want to be, just make us, go. We don't want to exist anymore. It's bad enough just to know that the multitude of the person of the hellfire is as big as Mount Uhud. Just imagine the thickness of the skin and the punishment that is going to happen there. So we need to keep this in mind, subhanAllah. We need to bear witness. There is no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Keep this in your mind. Now if I take you to the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and many of you may be sitting here thinking, you know what, I'm a nobody. I'm no one special. I'm not even going to be noticed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I say to you, in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there was a man called Julaybib. Has anyone heard of his name? Yes? Julaybib was a man. They said that he was a dwarf-like figure, very short. He was deformed. He was ugly. He was repulsive. He was a person that the community in Medina did not even look at. Some of the people of Medina, the men, would tell their wives, if Julaybib comes here, make sure that you tell him to go away. And if he doesn't leave, I'm going to do something very harsh to him. They were repulsed. He was so ugly. So now we think, does this person who is so repulsive, who used to sit by himself, and they even narrated that this man used to sit amongst women. They didn't know his family name. They didn't know anything about him. Did this person have a chance in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Remember, in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the tribe meant everything. It meant your protection. It meant your wealth. If you didn't have a tribe, you had no hope. Julaybib, in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and you have to think, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came to Medina. He was kicked out of Mecca. All the issues that he had to build a new city. He had all the women, the kuffar coming after him. Did he remember this man, Julaybib? I say to you, yes. Because first and foremost, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everyone. He remembers everyone. And if you think about it, the disbeliever, does he feed him or not? When the disbeliever is hungry, does he feed him? Of course he does. Take the ant. The ant, does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala feed him? Yes. The fish in the ocean, does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala feed him? Yes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgets nobody. Julaybiib now has a Prophet of mercy, has the Prophet of mercy living in his land. He came and saw him. And he wanted to marry off Julaybiib. And you think about it, this man who was so ugly, so repulsive, who was going to marry him? He has no family, no tribe. Who was going to marry him? So the Prophet Muhammad went up to a man, an Ansari man, and he said to him, I would like your daughter in marriage. This man became so happy. He's thinking that the Prophet wants to marry his daughter himself. And the Prophet said to him, no, not for me. That the man said to whom? He said to Julaybiib. The man blank. To whom? Julaybiib? He didn't open his mouth. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I have to see my wife. He didn't want to say that to the Prophet. And you have to understand, this daughter of his was one of the most beautiful women of Al-Madinah. We're going to get now a woman of Medina who's so beautiful with one of the most ugliest men of Al-Madinah. I think it's very hard for a father. He went home. He went to his wife and he said the Prophet ﷺ wanted a daughter in marriage, and she was over the moon. Thinking the same thing, subhanAllah. The Prophet ﷺ, yes, no problem. He said, no, not for the Prophet. Not for him. But for whom? For Julaybiib. Oh, no way. She started, oh, how can we marry our daughter after Julaybiib? How? How could this be? So the man now was about to leave and tell the Prophet ﷺ, sorry, we're not going to marry off our daughter to Julaybiib. Who was listening? The daughter. She's in her room and she called out and she said, wait a minute. Who wants to marry me off? They said the Prophet ﷺ. She didn't even inquire about the man. She said, if the Messenger of Allah wants to marry me off, how is he going to misguide me? How? Whatever the Messenger wants, I'm going to do. So she went and they got married. And they said they had a successful marriage. Now my issue here isn't about the way they got married, because something even more blessed happened to Julaybiib. He ended up with a beautiful wife. Many of us think, when we marry a beautiful wife, mashallah, that's it. I have heaven on earth. But something even more blessed happened to Julaybiib. Julaybiib wanted to go and fight with the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And you have to think about it, he was weak. He was a weak man. So he went out. At the end of this battle, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he started to inquire with the companions. Did you lose anyone? They'll say so-and-so. He'll go to another group. Did you lose anyone? They'll say so-and-so. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, but I have lost Julaybiib. Where is he? Go and look for him on the battlefield. I can't find him. So the companions went out and they looked for Julaybiib. They went and searched until they found him dead. Not by himself. They found 7 men, 7 disbelievers around him that were killed by Julaybiib. And he had marks all over him. The Prophet ﷺ looked at him and he said, he had died and killed 7. He said, verily Julaybiib is of me. Remember, he's got no family. And now the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is lifting him, lifting his name, saying that Julaybiib is of me and I am of him. Meaning that he's the family of Rasulullah ﷺ. What an honor! A man who was nothing. A man that no one would look at. And the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam lifted him and gave him the status of being the family of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now I ask you about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where are we, us now living in this time and era? Where are we and where are the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Don't you feel like that we're lost? Don't you feel like that we're not doing enough? It's true we come to the masjid and we pray, but what more can we do? What more can we do? I say, Ya Rabbi Nafsi, no, this is on the Day of Judgment. Everyone will say, Ya Rabbi Nafsi on the Day of Judgment. Nafsi, Nafsi, huh? Myself, myself on the Day of Judgment. But in this dunya, no, we have to think something else. What made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about the companions? Radiallahu anhum wa radu anhum. What made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about the companions? That He is pleased with them and they are pleased with Him. Ya Ahmadi, do we say that Alhamdulillah, our Muslims are united? This blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, the ni'mah of Islam, do we thank Allah? When I went to Hong Kong, this was a few months ago, subhanAllah, I get bored very easily. I go, you know what, I'm going to go out and do some street da'wah. We have a program in Sydney, or in Australia, we go out and talk to the people on the streets, hand out flyers, CDs and whatnot. I go, I'm going to try it in Hong Kong. I'm itching. I get bored in the hotels. I went out and I saw people that were so consumed within themselves. They didn't care about anything. To get them to smile was an issue. I look, ni hao. They keep walking. Ni hao. One will give me a grin, one will go, don't worry. And eventually I walked into a shop and I said, what's wrong with your people? What is wrong with your people that don't smile? They said, well, we only care about money. Everyone lives their life to themselves. Ya Rabbi, nafsi. Myself, myself. And believe me, us Muslims are becoming like this. When we only care about ourselves and our immediate family. I only care about myself and no one else. Even to the point where we don't care about our parents anymore. My immediate household. But your father is old and sick. Leave him. Put him in the hospital. Don't send him money. Your brother and sister, go. Maybe going through a hard time. Ya Rabbi nafsi. Leave him, who cares? The Muslim is not like this. The Muslim is not like this. Because don't forget, Muslims are leaving Islam. Muslims are leaving Islam. Maybe you're saying, I'm talking something, some nonsense. I'm telling you about Allah. Muslims don't even know who they're praying to. Many of us come to the salat, we say Takbir al-Ihram, Allahu Akbar, and our mind wanders. True? Our mind wanders, it goes. If we truly believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our minds will be fixed. We know that we're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praying to Him. Not thinking about our money, not thinking about our problems. We have times in our salat where we beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is when our head, our highest point is on the lowest floor. We beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and pray to Him and say, Ya Allah, please help me. Please give me. Please assist me. But our problem is within our heart. Our yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not there. I'm going to give you an example of this, subhanAllah. We purchased a property in Australia, in a town called Auburn. The property was $2 million, 1.8 million, almost 2 million. We had 4 months to get this money, and unfortunately we're not millionaires in Australia. Huh? Maybe you have some rich people here. I came to Mashura and I said to them, listen, we're going to purchase this land and establish a masjid. They looked at me as if I was a crazy man. Loony, cuckoo, huh? I said to them, by Allah, wallahi, even if I do this myself, I'm going to establish this masjid for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens up our hearts. I said, by Allah, we're going to do this. They said, how are we going to do this? I said, have you ever heard of one house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that was not established? And I'm only saying this not to boast, but to establish this yaqeen in your heart. I said, we're going to do it, inshallah. 4 months down the track, after crying and fighting amongst ourselves, because it was pressure like you wouldn't believe. So much pressure. $1.8 million, this one will give you $500, this one will give you $50, this one will give you $1,000. We came up to the last month and we still needed a very, very big lump sum. How are we going to do this? We turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We got, and we're allowed 1 month extension, so 5 months. We raised $1.8 million. And this masjid, which is called Masjid Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, was established. And we had the shaitan working against us, and mind you, sometimes the shaitan comes to a Muslim, and we had people saying to the donors, take your money back because they're not going to get this. Take your money back, don't bother, they're not going to be able to establish this. And wallahi, we kept praying and praying and praying until it's established. And now, 2 years later, we have over, maybe now in Tarawih, over 1,000 Muslims in this masjid. When your heart is with Allah, Allah can do whatever He wills. When your heart is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open up doors and ways. When you work for Allah, Allah will assist you. But when you work for yourself and the shaitan, forget it. I gave this example today at the khutbah at another masjid. My brother-in-law, he works as a kitchen maker. He builds kitchens. He went to a house, and the owner of this house was a millionaire. This was a mansion, multi-millionaire. He had whatever he wanted. He was an Asian man. My brother-in-law said to me, Ahmad, I walked in, and you could not believe it. He spent so much money on his kitchen, you wouldn't believe. Swimming pool, it was near the ocean, beautiful, beautiful villa. He said to me, but there was something wrong with this man. I said, what was it? You think a rich man's got everything, happiness, everything. He said, this man, do you know what he sleeps next to? Did he maybe a wife? Allah, what does he sleep next to? He said, Ya Ahmad, this man sleeps next to a teddy bear. This man sleeps next to a teddy bear. You know what I'm talking about, man? He dresses up this teddy bear in pajamas and he sleeps next to this teddy bear. He's so miserable within his life. This man was a homosexual on top of that. You mean he left God, the natural fitrah, and he became a homosexual, and now he's sleeping next to a teddy bear. He has no happiness in life whatsoever. He can buy whatever he wants, but he can't buy happiness. The one thing you cannot buy is Iman. The belief of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can't buy it. And this is what we have, this richness. Wallahi, wallahi, I would rather live on the street than as this person. As long as I have Iman in my heart. As long as you're breathing in Iman and exhaling Iman, Alhamdulillah, Ya Rabb. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never forget you. He didn't forget Julaybib in the worst of times. And He's never ever going to forget you. So now my question is, my dear brothers, you living here in Kuwait, what are you going to do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Now you're thinking it's a blessed month of Ramadan. What can I do? Make dua. Supplicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to strengthen you in your physical ability, in your spiritual ability, and also to strengthen you to go out and call the people back to Islam. You know, yesterday we went to one of the malls and I was astonished. One of the shopping centers here. Wallahi, I was astonished to see the people of Kuwait living as if they're living in the West. Maybe we're thinking, you know what, this is normal, who cares? Now you say, who cares? But in 20, 30, 50 years, we're going to say, Ya Rabb, I wish we went back. I wish this never happened. I wish this change never happened. Because they're going to lose themselves within this dunya. My topic before the khutbah, it was called evil injections of the dunya. Evil injections. The dunya is like a drug. It takes you on a high. You know, people when they drink alcohol or take drugs, it makes them feel like they're on top of the world. But what happens after? They get a headache. They become sick. They lose themselves. They throw up. They wake up with a headache, a migraine. They need to take aspirin. They need to take Panadol so they can feel better. But why are the people doing this? Why are the people taking these drugs? I ask you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these people that are addicted to drugs and alcohol, why are they doing this? I tell you, it is because they want to forget this dunya. They have nothing in this world. They don't have a life to live for. How many people do you hear have taken their souls, committed suicide? There are certain bridges in the West that are known that people jump off them and kill themselves. Why? Why? Because they have nothing to live for. My dear brothers, my dear sisters in Islam, you have Allah, you have Islam. Live a life of being, be proud, not in proudness that you're going to, you have qabr. Be proud that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made you a Muslim. And after Ramadan, get together and say, you know what, let's go and preach this word. Preaching is so easy. You have Facebook now, you have Twitter, you have the internet, you have emails, you have SMSs. You can remind so many different people about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many people here in Kuwait do you know that don't pray constantly? Do you know anybody? I'm pretty sure every single one of us knows a person who doesn't pray. Every single deed that they do is going to be on your scales of good deeds on the Day of Judgment. If they start to pray, every prayer that they do is going to be on your scale. If a person that you know does not fast and he starts to fast, it's going to be on your scales on the day of judgment, subhanAllah. This is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the problem is within ourselves. How lazy are we not to go out and call? Imagine the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam not calling the people to Islam. Imagine. Do you know what happened one day? Very early on in Islam, subhanAllah. There was Abu Bakr and a few other companions, and they went out to preach in front of the Kaaba. They called all the people of Quraysh to Islam. Quraysh and the leaders of Quraysh beat the Muslims like you wouldn't believe. One of these evildoers came and beat Abu Bakr so much to the point where he got his shoe, and he kept hitting Abu Bakr in the face until they couldn't recognize Abu Bakr anymore, and he became unconscious. If you're involved in drama, understand there's going to be harm. They beat him until he became unconscious. He didn't wake up until nightfall, until the night time. That's the only time he woke up. When he woke up, what do you think he said? My face? Out? Panadol? Hospital? Doctor? La wallah. His words were, how is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Even though the pain that he was going through, how is Rasulullah? His mother said to him, look, I'm going to get you some food. He said, no, but Allah, I'm not going to eat until you take me to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I'm not going to eat or drink until I see the face of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They took him to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saw him, he embraced him and hugged him. He took him and embraced him. Do we feel this? But Allah, honestly, living our lives, do we feel this? Or we just wake up, salat, siyam, go back to bed, no pressure. Yeah, man, if you want to be raised up on the day of judgment, if you want to be amongst the companions of Rasulullah, and why not? Me, I'm talking about me, Abu Ahmad, I want to be with Abu Bakr. I want to be with Umar. I want to be with Uthman and Ali and all the companions. I want to be amongst Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. I want to be with them. I love them. But if I love them, I have to act like them. True? So we have to get out there and preach. We have to love what we do. We have to love this Islam. And we have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us sincere. To keep us sincere in this call, as Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his companions were. So please, I hope I've just moved your heart just a little bit. And not forgetting, one of these golden ingredients is what? The tears of a believer. Cry to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us successful. Ya akhwan, the world is against us. The world at the moment now is against Islam. The shayateen and ins wal jinn are working against us. So let us work for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakum Allah khair, and inshallah we'll see you all soon. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakumullah khair, brothers and sisters, for being here, and Jazakumullah khair, Shaykh Ahmad, for giving such a beautiful talk. Shaykh, we have a request that you can tell us about your Da'wah Center, first of all, in Australia, and also we allow the brothers to ask a few questions to the Shaykh related to Da'wah or any other matter, inshallah. Shaykh will be willingly give the answer, inshallah.
Just in terms of our Da'wah Center in Sydney, it's the establishment of the organisation is called the Islamic Da'wah Center of Australia. It was established in 1998. Early on in Sydney, there was not much Da'wah for the English speakers. And myself, growing up in Sydney, to be honest with you, I have a Lebanese background, but you could say I'm a revert, because I didn't know anything about Islam. For 19 years of my life, I grew up with nothing. I knew I was Muslim, and the only things I understood was Ramadan, don't eat pig, and don't drink alcohol. That's it. I grew up amongst the non-Muslims. I didn't know many Muslims at all. So growing up, Salat, I didn't know. Quran, I didn't know. Allah, I didn't know. Muhammad, I don't know. When the people saw my figure, or my shape, or my color, they knew I was Muslim or Arab. So they used to pick on me. But I didn't know anything. Growing up amongst the Asians, we had Chinatown, and I used to love martial arts, Kung Fu and karate, taekwondo, and all these things. I grew up and I feel embarrassed to say, but it's important for you to understand where I'm coming from. I used to pray to Bruce Lee because I used to watch movies, and that's why I told you, Hollywood and Bollywood, they're bringing us up. One of the movies I saw, a person praying to Bruce Lee for strength and for all these things. I had a competition coming up, a tournament, and I lifted my hands and Bruce Lee helped me. I didn't know any better. But when, subhanAllah, I was working at that time, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took my job away. The company became broke. I started traveling to work 1 hour every day from a place called Maroubra to Blacktown. I was a security guard. And at that time, for some reason, life in general for me, that's it, I was bored. From the age of 14 to 16, I said to my mom, I'm over life. I want to get married. By the age of 18, I met my fiancée, subhanAllah, and her family were very religious. They used to pray. And now, I started to taste something. You know when you hear, have you tasted the sweetness of Iman? Huh? For the first time in my life, I felt my heart open. First time ever. From coming from darkness, from boredom, growing up in the streets, you know, knowing, listening to music, and you know, we're organizing dance parties and all these sort of things. They're tasting the sweetness of Iman you do not understand. If you're not a revert yourself, you're not going to understand. I started to pray. I started to fast. I started to learn. I myself not knowing anything, bought a van and I started to pick up the children, taking them to the masjid and reading from the 40 hadith on the wall. I didn't know anything, but I knew this is what I wanted. Slowly from here to there, you know, we brought some international speakers, and there was very minimum things for the English speakers. There's hardly any doors or any lessons. And we established from there 1998, subhanAllah. From that little center, we had actually one room. The brother gave us a little room. We never ever in the world thought that we build a land or have a land that's just under 4,000 square meters. We're about to establish a four-level unit. You need this message, going to be 4 levels. We have 2 different prayer halls. Some of the projects that we do, and subhanAllah, when you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we said, you know what, we want to get the word across Australia. We want 1 million flyers to be established or given out in Australia. Within 1 week, we raised $30,000 and we purchased and we bought these flyers which are distributing all over Australia. But we have to get active, you know. For us living in the West, alhamdulillah, we're blessed here. But for us living in the West, we have to move a bit more. We went a couple of weeks ago before I came here, we went to the main city. And we're in front of the church and the government allows us. We weren't inside the church, but out on the street. And we were preaching to the people. One lady came to me and she said to me, why are you preaching in front of the church? Why? I said, you know why? Because they supposedly love Jesus. And us Muslims, we love Jesus. Just like they love Jesus, we love Jesus. And we have to come to common grounds. We just have to fine-tune the understanding. I don't want to see these people go to hell. One of the scariest things for me, Abu Ahmad, you know when I'm flying in an airplane, I didn't care about that and dying myself. But when I look out and I see all the non-Muslims in the airplane, I imagine how many of these people are going to go to the hellfire. When I'm the only Muslim on the airplane, and there's 2 or 3 or 400 of them, non-Muslims, where is the ending? Where? The hellfire. So when we go out, we have to preach in a nice way. Be nice, smile. One of the worst things amongst the Muslims, you don't see their teeth. You don't see them smile, subhanAllah. Smile, it's a sunnah. You get a hasanah, subhanAllah. Smile, show me your teeth, ya akhwan. It's a beautiful thing. Give salam amongst one another. We only start to give salam to the people that we know. The people that we don't know for us, because we'll give salam. Go out, be nice, change your ways. This is what we need to do, subhanAllah. Does anyone got any questions about our dawah in Australia or anything else?
Just asking that street dawah and that type of activity is possible in Western society, but in Kuwait or in any other Gulf country, you don't have that opportunity. So how do you, what's the alternative?
So you're not allowed to get street dawah here? No.
To whom would you give that? The majority population are Muslims here.
Yeah, I think the Muslims, they dawah as much as the non-Muslims. In our countries, we try to go to the non-Muslims and also the Muslims. We have flights for both. To be honest with you, that week I was in the city, two men came to me. They had earrings, they had actually plucked eyebrows and all these other things, looking mighty fine. I said, do you know anything about Islam? They said, Salaam alaikum, brother. Are you serious? I go, you guys Muslim? They go, yeah, we're Turkish. I'm not trying to put down if there's any Turkish brothers here. They said, yeah, we're Turkish. I go, mashallah, brothers, we have a center, if you've got any time, come around. Then two women walk behind. No hijab, no nothing, makeup and perfume and everything, I said, do you know anything about Islam? She said, yeah. I go, do you know who Allah is? Oh, sorry, do you know who your Lord is? She said, yes. I said, who? She goes, the Prophet. She says, oh, no. Allah. I go, you're Muslim? She said, yes. I go, yes, subhanAllah. So, the Muslims need da'wah as much as the non-Muslims. So when you're going out there, as I mentioned before, I'm pretty sure we know people here that don't pray, that don't give charity, that don't fast. They need guidance. We all need guidance. Sometimes our iman is high, sometimes it's low. And if we don't have a reminder, we don't have people to remind us, what good are we at? So our call is to both, inshallah.
From your point of view, what are the positives and negatives in living in that society?
Okay, the positives and negatives of living in that society, to be honest with you, and there's more negatives than positives. Because in these countries we go one step forward, but we take 3 steps back all the time. Yeah, we have people whose name is Muhammad to Michael or Mo. Yeah, people are embarrassed to break their leaves. People are embarrassed to wear the belt. People are embarrassed to do certain things. They'll leave off their break. They don't care, just to get a job. And I don't like to say many things, but I'll give you an example, inshallah. Just last year within itself, I had 2 brothers who prayed in our masjid. They came to me and they said that they're homosexuals and actually engaged in homosexuality. If this keeps you in this country, alhamdulillah. To feed our children, yes. We have sisters in niqab committing haram. We have brothers with beads committing haram. As I said, as a look in the West, we may look like we're religious, or we may look like that we're Muslims, but our actions are totally opposite. And this is the scariest thing. There's no one to say this is haram or to enforce this is haram. Do as you will in the West. No one can talk to you. Your son, maybe 15, 14, say, Baba, see you later. I'm leaving. You can't say nothing. You want to discipline your son, he'll go to the police. You can't do nothing. So the good things about the West is that we've got the freedom of speech. We're allowed to preach. We're allowed to talk about Allah and His Messenger. This is one of the greatest things. We're allowed to purchase land. We're allowed to establish masajid. We're allowed to hold conferences. But the greater impact upon the Muslim, if a person is not active in the da'wah, he better leave. He better leave. And sometimes you have to think about your own family. Many mashayikh have lost their children. Many du'at have lost their children. In the process, they're calling to Allah, and believe me, brother, we don't have time for ourselves. Our phones in the West don't stop. Messages on Facebook and Twitter and SMSs, getting calls 2 o'clock in the morning. We don't have time for ourselves because of the amount of stress and pressure that we have in those countries. This is something that you have to be aware of. If any of you are thinking of going to the West, I'm saying to you, by Allah, you're better living in an Islamic country in poverty than to go to the West. Save yourself and your religion. Believe me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows.
Can we invite non-Muslim for iftar?
Can we
Invite for iftar non-Muslim?
Can we invite
non-Muslims for the iftar parties?
Yeah, inshallah. You can invite them to no problem, inshallah. This is part of showing them the beauty of Islam, to show that we're generous, to give them gifts, to feed them. There's no problem, inshallah. This is part of the da'wah. One of my tricks in street da'wah, I purchase lollipops. Lollies? It's hard. Sometimes they look at you and they don't want to take a flower. I say lollipop, they smile straight away. Yeah, I'll have one of those, and also take a flower. You have to be smart. We have to be open. When they see that, and they actually start to speak to us, they think, you know what? We can start to break down barriers. I had one man come up to me and say, you know what, you're doing a good deed. What you're doing is not Muslim. He said, what you're doing is a good deed. Because I want to break down barriers. Not everyone wants to look at a Muslim as a terrorist. Everything that we see on the news, Muslims, they're burning the American flag, we're jumping up and down on the streets. Okay, we're not like this. We're humane people, we're God-fearing people, we're good people. But this is something that we have to show the people. So inviting them to iftar, why not? Just of course get the permission of the committee and all these sort of things, and inshallah this should be fun. In one of the other masajid in Kuwait, in the last 3 or 4 days, they've had maybe 20 readers, just in the last few days. This is something very good, and this is something you should take on board, inshallah. Inshallah, I'm going to have to leave off there. I have to actually go. I'm a little bit sick with this Kuwaiti weather. When I eat, I get a little bit sick, so I'm going to have to leave, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair for giving me this opportunity, and inshallah, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow me to come back here again to talk to you again, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I just request all the brothers to have a seat, inshallah. And brother Shaykh Ahmad, inshallah Shaykh Abdul Aziz will talk with you since you are in Qari. So inshallah, he will just talk to you. I request all the brothers to please have a seat. Still we have 15 minutes. Jazakumullah khair first of all for being here. As we have 10 minutes, inshallah, we will gonna also leave the space for the question and answer session. So anyone of the brothers and sisters have a question, please go on. Yes, sir.
I want to repeat the question last time I asked. My
Oh.
wife is pregnant. Can she fast?
The pregnant?
Fast now, she has to give the fidya.
Exactly. About the pregnancy, the pregnant person is considered as a sick person. And you know that if a person is sick and he cannot fast, what should he do? He should fast the day when he's fine. Same thing now, the pregnant woman cannot pay the money, that's it. She doesn't have to fast, according to the doctor, she doesn't fast. But after the delivery, after the 40 days after the delivery, when she will feel she is fine, she can fast 30 or 29 days according to the Ramadan. And it's not obligatory for her to fast continuously 30 days or 29 days. It's according to the flexibility. So she can fast 1 day, she can fast 2 days, and etc. Inshallah. As well about the inhaler, I couldn't reply because people was praying. At that time, according to the doctor and according to the fatwa as well, I swiped the answer. The one which is with the powder, the inhaler, that will break your fast because the powder will gonna fall into your throat and it will go into your stomach. But the other one, which is only the spray, when the spray, inshallah, it will not gonna break your fast.
How about the injection? Some people do not.
Injection? Okay, injection is actually a big field. The drip that you will put in your, not the drip. Okay. So any injection which will cure yourself. For example, there was a question last week about the insulin. Now insulin is not a food. It will not prevent you from the hunger. It's only to control your sugar, your diabetes in your blood. So in this case, any injection which will not give you energy for a food, for example like a drip, inshallah it's fine, no problem with it. Yes, sir.
Does Islam allow organ donation at the end of when a person is dead?
Is Islam allowed?
Organ donation.
Organ donation? Yes, no problem with it. Yes, you can. And it's actually, you can consider it as a sadaqah jariyah. So, and this is highly recommended for a Muslim that he should donate his parts for the others. Inshallah. Any questions?
This is regarding your Friday khutbah. If the khutbah is started, can I pray my surah or should I sit and
Exactly. A good question, and also we gave a khutbah into this title that what you should do while during the khutbah. The question is, can a person pray during the khutbah if he comes into the masjid and he performs salah? as we mentioned before, that the sunnah of the masjid, tahiyyatul masjid, that you come inside the masjid, even a mistake, that while people are sitting, the imam comes on the minbar and he will say Assalamu alaikum, and the adhan goes. Those who are sitting, they will stand up and then they will pray the sunnah. So this is a mistake, but the one who will come after the khutbah is started and then pray 2 rak'ah, that's fine, inshallah.
Can a feeding woman leave fasting and how she compensates?
Again, please.
A feeding woman for a child.
Yes.
And how she compensates the fasting after?
No, it's according to the that's fine. She can feed the child, no problem. But if she feels weak and if she cannot go with the fast, she should break her fast and then she should complete or make up the fast. Inshallah.
Another question about
Yes, sir.
Organ donation. After death, can I give a vow that I will donate all my organs after my death?
It should be according to the person's will. It's not that a person died and I will come and say, you know what, take his leg, take his liver and take his heart. It should be the person's will. It should be written that, for example, if me, Muhammad bin Nawawi, if I will die, I would like to, donate my organs. It should be my will, not the person's will. Yes.
Yeah. Can I
give
a vow that after my death,
Of course, this is required actually for the person himself before he dies. And as the Prophet ﷺ, he said, you should not sleep 2 nights without writing your will next to you. So this is also from a sunnah. Take a piece of paper. It's a sunnah. It's not something funny. Take a piece of paper and just write, if I die, my money will go to my half money will go to my family, the other half will go to the charity. If I die, my organs will be donated. Anything. Just write a piece of paper and put it in your drawer, and in this you will get the sunnah and you will get the ajr of sunnah, inshallah.
There is a belief that this body belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It should be returned to Him after death. You cannot remove the organs and all.
No, it's not like that. Yes, the question is like, your body belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your soul belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The body came from earth and it will go to the earth. So, no, in fact, there is in Islam they said like, manfa'a wal madada, like, what's harmful and what's the benefits. So if you know that after your death, you will gonna give your liver, you will gonna give, you will donate your own organs to another person, and you will gonna give a life to another person. For example, you will gonna donate your eyes, and from your eyes, another person is able to see, and he will see his family. You will be happy for whole life. Why not? Go ahead, and you will get the end for it.
No, not necessarily be for the the life of another person. Maybe my organs will be used in an institute for demonstration.
No, you have to be specified. You have to be specified in your own organs that it should be going to so-and-so person. It shouldn't be under demo.
Can it be donated for an institute for demonstration purpose, not for saving the life?
It depends on your will.
No, I'm willing. Can I do that?
If there is manfa, if there is people who get benefit after making so many experiments on your leg, and they know that the natija, the result after that study, that after so thing will become, inshallah, it will gonna help to cure so disease, it will gonna do so many good things, inshallah. But it's better to give it to the person that he needs it.
Sometimes the medical student, they may need some organs for demonstration.
They will go to the plastic demos. Yes, brother.
Are Muslims allowed to take life insurance or health insurance or any kind of insurance?
Now there is a new system of insurance that's called takaful, and this is Islamic insurance system. That it's a pool. It's actually long, and I'm in this field actually. It's a long story and it's a long explanation. But how the takaful, the word takaful should be there. Even now the ulama said if you are doing renewal of your car, for example, you should go to the company which have the takaful name. Yelp Takaful, for example, or so-and-so takaful company, insurance company. So actually their transaction is Islamic transaction. Even though if you see from the top, you will think that, okay, this person is taking money from me, the takaful, and the other company is taking money from me, so where's the Islamic issue, and where's the Islamic transaction? Well, in the bottom, in the main, because I'm working in Islamic investment company, I know how the deal and how the transaction goes. It's very sensitive, but you can deal with the health insurance, which is takaful, health insurance or medical insurance, inshallah. Yes, brother.
I'm making a loan, whether I can repay it with interest. Is it allowed?
Taking loan on interest basis is haram. Totally, and don't even think about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, فَأَذِنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ, that declare a war on the person who will take interest from Allah and from His Messenger. And there's several hadith about the ones who deal with the interest. And unfortunately, we are living in a place, even West or the Arab countries, everyone is dealing with riba. So it's better to avoid riba. There's a lot of other ways that to take even the Islamic banks. Now, for example, KFH and the Islamic banks, they don't give the loan. They buy and sell. Now, as I explained to the brother now, the difference between Islamic and non-Islamic, it's only the transaction. Otherwise, you are paying here and you are paying here, no problem. So if you take, for example, 1,000 KD from a conventional bank, you have to return how much? 1,500 KD, for example. Here you have to return more. So the transaction is money against money. You take money, you return money back extra. So you cannot do that. But why you want, for example, if you go to the Islamic bank, why you need the money? I want to buy a car. How much is the car for? For 1,000 KD. The bank will say, I will gonna buy the car, and I will sell it to you for 1,500 KD. A normal person will say that I'm paying you 1,500 KD, I'm paying 1,500 KD. What's the difference? The difference that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَحَبَ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَمَ الرِّبَا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made riba haram and made the buying and selling lawful. It's halal. So what the Islamic bank will do, he will buy a car and he will tell you, I'm buying it for 1,000 KD and I'm going to sell it for you for 1,500, 1,200 KD, and then you will give me the installments. So in this case, it's halal, no problem with it. Now my bank, I got it for 1 KD. It's my wish to sell it for 100 KD, it's my wish. Either you take it or you don't take it, it's my wish. Same thing now, Islamic transaction, even though there are a lot of people, they have articles against Islamic banks and they are, thieves and they are doing this and that, but according to my little experience that I have in the banking sector, no, it's Islamic Sharia, supervision, alhamdulillah, everything is fine. Now, if you take the loan, if you can pay the loan with the interest, the best thing is if you can do it as soon as possible, do it.
But I see the major element in this thing is the sharing risk. The banks, when you go and take the loan, they don't share the risk, they only look for their money.
You mean the conventional bank?
Yes, conventional. But actually, as for Islam, you have to share. You cannot give interest, but you have to share the risk. If there is a profit, you have to share. If there is a loss, you have to share.
Exactly.
The major difference between these two kind of
So
banks.
true. The brother said actually it's about the risk. The conventional bank will not going to take the risk. It will just give you the money and you will say, you tell me back so money, which is extra, and if you don't pay, there will be extra charges on the interest. Now the Islamic bank will share with you the profit and the loss as well. But it's a long, as I said, it's a long study, it's a long explanation. But at the end, the ulama said, if you have in a country a Muslim bank and a conventional bank, if there's an alternative option, you go with the Islamic bank. Alhamdulillah, now almost we have 6 banks, Islamic banks. So it's better even not to put your money in conventional banks, even though they are providing good services, good customer services, whatever it is. As for ulama, you should take your money and give it and put it in the Islamic banks. Yes, sir. 2 questions. Yes.
Is the loan that you take from Islamic bank time bound? You have to pay in certain amount of.
As I said, they were not going to give you money. They were going to give you whatever you want. You want to buy a house, they will buy the house, they will buy the land, they will buy the material for you, the cement, etc., etc. And then you have to pay them. And of course, there will be time limit for them. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is, you have to pay them.
But I trust will be as per the timing. If it is for the 2 years, you have to pay this much. If it is support.
Of course, it goes up and down. It goes up and down. There's no interest.
So
the Islamic bank.
It means that there is a thin line between these.
The same car you buy for 3-year installment, you pay less. And the same car you buy from the same bank for the 5 years, you pay more. So why? I mean, it's
about the time of you pay more. But I have no idea if you pay more about the 5 years.
Yes.
Even in the Islamic banks.
Islamic bank. I mean, the Kuwait Finance House.
Okay.
If you do the installment for 3 years, you pay the less amount. If you make the installment for 5 years, you pay more.
Well, to be honest, I have no idea. I can check back. But as far I know that all the transactions they do, they should be, restricted by Sharia supervision. Otherwise, there's something. We'll take only one question because we have less time, so we have to go and sit. Yes, you. Yeah.
If a disbeliever becomes a Muslim, where do you teach him the salat and all prayers?
Very good question. If a disbeliever becomes a Muslim, where do you teach him salah and where do you teach him the Islam teaching? You can teach him anywhere. Even if there's a non-Muslim, mashallah, there are a lot of non-Muslims come to this masjid, they sit, they hear the khutbah. How many times I give the khutbah, I see people, mashallah, coming inside the masjid, they are having tattoo, they're having chain. So it's totally allowed. Even I know in India, Pakistan, there's restriction, the woman cannot go to the masjid, the kuffar cannot enter the masjid, and etc., etc. But the Prophet ﷺ used to sit with the kuffar Quraysh, they used to sit with the Yahud in the masjid and talk with them. So it's totally fine. When a disbeliever becomes a Muslim, you should not delay. You should sit with him anywhere, in the car, in the house, in the masjid, but you should give him the proper teachings of Islam, the wudu, the salah, and etc. Now, inshallah, we have only a few minutes, and as we know that, inshallah, we're going to sit and we're going to break our fast from the foods and juice and etc. After that, we're going to pray, inshallah, and after prayer, we're going to have our main course. A request from the brother ﷺ said that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will listen to a person's dua while he's breaking his fast. Please, we ask all the brothers to sit next to each other and make dua until the adhan. Jazakumullah khair. So.
Yes. Okay. Before